Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. This is your host, Scotty B. Friends, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the method for how I create my content on my channel. I do bring it up a little bit, all the different things that I get to and all the different things that I do and how all of this comes into being and happens because it's been a while. It's been, 4 seasons. I haven't said anything about how any of this works. I haven't talked about how my process goes. So if you are interested, and I guess I'll get to the show things now because, you might not even be interested in how all this works or, I wonder what his process is. This is also a very good process to just follow. So if you're somebody who's struggling with process or like you want to start a YouTube channel and you're in cosplay, make sure that you comment in, send me the comments, like, subscribe, send me comments, send me questions. Like, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know why I'm even in this space. Like, it's so much easier to do Instagram stuff. Like, yes, I understand that. YouTube is my thing, and this is a hobby channel. There may be other things coming down the pipe, which will have nothing to do with cosplay, or maybe very little. I don't know. But this was not the intention of this cast. It's a hobby, and this is a hobby it's a hobby podcast. It's a hobby show. I have a lot of fun. I develop a lot of skills doing this. And that was really the point, was to develop these skills, to be able to talk to you at length about any sort of things and be very good, like really just developing camera skills, developing a sense of comfort with being in front of the camera so that I could share these things with you and be just be in a good space to talk to you about those things, so that if I do get in front of you and we're at a convention or whatever, that it seems very normal for me to convey all this stuff to you and give you the elevator pitch that you're looking for in order to help you. That's the whole reason for the show, is like the help that you see from the random guy on the internet who really just wants you to be successful in any shape or form that is meaningful to you. It starts with ideation, right? We start with the ideation. There's a notebook over here on the desk where I write things down. There's always things that I put in my notes on my phone. There are just different ways of coming up with content. And I usually do this more so before the season begins than I do as I'm going through. I did it a little differently for season 4 because I did take a bit of a break in the middle. Actually, I took a big break in the middle. And because of that, part 2 was a little different than part 1. Like the first half of the season was very different than the closing of the season. That was intentional. Doing that is all about ideating. Like, you have to spend time thinking about what you actually want to talk about, think about the topics. Now, there is a method to doing this, to curate views and to curate watch time. I'm not talking about that exactly on the show. I'm talking about just kind of my process for coming up with content in terms of, like, here is where you'd start at the basics. So I'm not looking into analytics. I'm not looking into, this show did really good. Like, that comes later. Okay, we'll talk about that later. This is just, these are the things that I want to cover for this episode. Okay, that's where everything starts. And then I write everything down. Okay, that's what you do. A lot of writing, a lot of rearranging, a lot of saying, maybe this episode should come before this episode. And I write all that down. And then I get into the scripting. Scripting takes a fair amount of time, but it's really not the most involved process in all of this. It is involved, but not that terribly involved. So what I like to do is I like to start writing. I just start writing. I give myself a chunk of time on weekends and I just start writing down all of the content for everything. I usually have a pretty good format, and these are the notes that I go off of when I am doing the podcast and shooting these YouTube videos, which also was a big change. And it took a lot of effort to get in front of a camera like this. It did start out just as a podcast. But after that, you do a little bit of storyboarding if you need to. Like, that's kind of an optional step for me, because obviously the only thing that I'm doing right now is being in front of a camera, and it's all static. It's all one shot. If there are multiple shots and if there's a lot going on, yes, I would be writing that out. And for later projects, for bigger projects, I have done exactly that. It's still a step that I like to include, because if you think about it and put your little stick figures down and you write down your boards, and you can go and find, there's lots of things online that you can just download that have like little picture boxes, and you can write down notes to what you are doing and when, because that's really like blocking out how you're going to create your YouTube stuff, or blocking out any of your content strategy is a great idea. Then you got to create a schedule, which is what I do. Create that film schedule and stick to it. So if you know you're going to be writing on day X and you know that you're going to be creating on day Y, then that's what you do. Like, that's really what you have to stick to. So today was the day, like, this is when I decided I was going to record everything. And you do more record, like, you can do it in batches. doing it in batches is actually a really good thing. And if you want to, like for me, I just started wearing the standard so that I could just batch them all together. I just got the one shirt for the show. I'm not going to keep changing wardrobe. There's no point to that anymore, because I want to be as consistent as I possibly can when I am doing all of these episodes back to back, and they're going to come out a little bit closer together anyways, so it's fine. And then the fun part begins, the editing. And editing, I think, takes more than anything to get all the editing down, to do all of the sound, get all of that on the podcast, to do all of the video, get all of that on the YouTube channel, and then all the little things that go into that, writing all the descriptions for anything. Usually I start with that a little earlier, but getting all the descriptions, getting all of the little things that have to be copied and pasted in different spaces, all the little keywords, uploadable stuff, all the thumbnails that have to be created and made, any graphics that are going in, any references, any like typeset, all that stuff. It's a lot. It's very time consuming. It's the most time consuming step to everything that I do, and one that I might actually outsource later on, because man, does it take up a lot of time. Like recording, no problem. You can do that very quickly if once you get it down. All the other steps, the preparation for the next season and all that good stuff does not take as long as editing. Man, it takes forever. And especially when you have guests. Editing can take a long time. And I've really sped that process up because I really do feel that I owe my guests at least the diligence of being able to get through that as fast as I possibly can, so that I can get their content relevant out into the space as fast as possible within a week or two. Usually it's got to be fast. And that's just professional courtesy for the most part. So anybody listening who wants to be on the show, like I really do try. I really do. So once you get it all done, then you get it all uploaded to YouTube, which takes, forever to get the videos on there. And you get all that arranged, you get all that scheduled. So now you have your content calendar all done, and you know when the videos are going to come out. So the only thing you have to do then is promote everything. Okay. And that's where, once you get it all out there, that's where at the end, you do the planning and the analysis and all of that stuff at the end. That is really the part that, it's very important, but I don't include it in the beginning. Like that's not the ideation. This is how did it work? How did the ideation work? And then how does that change for the next time? You do all the analysis as the final step to say, oh, this video did this, people watched it this long, et cetera, et cetera. The podcast got this many downloads. Though, where did my views come from? Where did my listens come from? Where did my downloads come from? All that good stuff happens at the end. So that is the process in a nutshell. You can go back and listen to this, and I do talk quickly, but that you have a process. It doesn't have to be mine. It's just that having one generally works better than not having one, because you'd never want to scramble. You never want to like throw something up on the internet just to throw something out there and say, well, I have to stay relevant, I better do something, feed the beast. You don't want to do that. It takes a lot of time and energy and planning. Yes, of course, but you will see results, once you get into a cadence of doing this, once you have something put together, and like really every minute, every moment can count, every minute can count. I am a very busy person, as are many of you. So of course, that you spend time watching the videos is amazing. That you spend even 30 seconds watching the video is amazing. So that is really, in a nutshell, what I wanted to share in this episode today. So thank you so much for sticking with me and for me explaining this whole process to you. I really do enjoy talking about it. So thank you. Just be sure that all of the things that I talked about at the beginning of the video, you do take advantage of here, like, comment, subscribe. And thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you're on the podcast, this is the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary, a safe space for you to share your stories, tips, builds, and all of those things related to the causes in the community that you should be made aware of. This is Scotty B with Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary saying bye-bye, everybody.